Welcome back, CSE 103, to part 2 of our exercise 15, which is our HTML CSS intro, a very simple exercise where we're just using a heading, a subheading, one-line paragraph, a multi-line paragraph with some placeholder copy, and an image. And that's about it. And we're using a little CSS to introduce it. And so far we use CSS to add a margin. We use CSS to kind of shorten our page or shorten the body so it's only 500 pixels wide, as is our image. Now we shortened our image using our HTML, but we're going to change that. We're just going to color it a little bit and put a border on here and we'll be done. And we'll turn it in. So let's go back into our code. And what I'll do next is I'll change the header and I'll target H1, because remember in our index we have an H1. So let's target that hello from Replit and give it kind of like a pink color from here. Now I do have tools in here that you could kind of sample things, but we'll just try to match something kind of a pink color that's in here right now. So we'll use that, and then maybe we'll use a green color or something that looks very springy. So I'll go back here, and remember we're targeting the H1, so I'll go here, targeting the H1, put a space, and then a left curly brace, and then it puts both, and then you could just hit enter. And what we'll do here is we'll just put color. You don't have to put font color, it's just color when it's the text color. And I'll put a colon, and I'll just put pink. I'll just try pink for now, and see what that looks like. Now, I just put pink because I'm going to click on this and choose kind of a more, let's see, kind of more pink like that. You can see when you move over here, it becomes more saturated, the brighter color. It gets darker as you go down here. It gets lighter as you go this way. It goes darker, and then as you get into the grays, it gets less saturated. It gets kind of like, there's kind of a darker gray, here's kind of a lighter gray. So we want it nice and saturated, nice kind of pink fuchsia looking headline. So I'm going to use that. I'll hit enter, and now it uses a hex color, and I'll go see what that looks like. And that looks nice. You can even make it a little darker if you want to pick up that color there. If you want to go darker, just click on it and just kind of move over here. That's a little darker. Hit enter. Now when I refresh it, all right, it's okay now, but that's a good color there. That matches up, and maybe I'll use a kind of a darker green for this one. So I'll go here, and that one is an H2, because in our index HTML, there's our H2 element. And I'll go back to my style.css, and I'll type H2. And we're not typing tab, we're not making HTML tags right now, we're just putting H2 and then left curly brace and hit enter. And I'll just put color and a colon, and I'll put green. I'll see what the green looks like, and make sure you end it with a semicolon. I can't tell you how important it is to end with semicolons, because if you don't end with something, like even if I took this out, it'll kind of end there and it won't do other things. Let me just show you. I'll see what happens here. And you can see what happened. It took away the margin, so some things aren't working when you do that. So make sure you put the semicolon there. And the font size isn't working either. So some things aren't working here, so make sure you do that, because that's going to be the first problem you have. Something's not working, and I'm going to look at your code and say you need a semicolon. So let's see what the green looks like here. Let's refresh it. That's actually perfect. I didn't make a special green or anything, but that looks pretty good. And let me refresh this, because that's not refreshed. Okay, now the text is bigger. Now we have our margin back. That looks pretty good. And looks better than the fall one, I have to say. Now, the last thing we'll target here is image. So I'm going to go and target IMG. And I'll use a curly brace and make sure I have a pair of them. And it's targeting this image. Now, you might say, well, what if we have multiple images? Well, then we can give it a class name or an ID name. But right now, we're just going to target image because we only have one image. And all we're going to do is, I'm going to get rid of this. I know you took the time to put that in there, but I'm going to get rid of that, put a space back. And I'm actually going to target that in here and put that style in there. I'm going to put width colon 500. Why? Why does it matter? Well, it doesn't matter that much. I'll put pics. You do have to put pics in CSS. It doesn't matter that much, but that way all your styling is in one place, and you don't have to go searching through HTML. When HTML came out, you had to put styles inside all of these tags, and it was really a mess to find things. But that's why we keep it as a separate file. You don't have to. You can put your CSS in the head tags. You can even put them inside of these tags, which you have to do in the like in MyWarren, when you're doing a discussion forum, if you have to put any styles, you have to put them in the tags themselves and put kind of an internal style. But we're putting them in an external style right now, so we have one place where we could kind of manage all of this. So the image has a width of 500. Nothing's going to change, so I'm not going to refresh it. But what we are going to do is put a border on here, and I'll put border, and I'll click on border. And border takes 3 properties. It takes a style, which is just going to be solid, and that came up here, solid. And then you put a space. You don't put commas. And I'm also going to put a thickness, and I'll put like 2 pixels for now, 2 pixels. And then I'll put a space again, and you put a color. And it could be black, it could be white. I guess I'll use black because we have black text here. I'll see how that looks. And I'll just put black. And black is a standard color name, and I'll show you that there are standard color names that you could use. So if you wondered how I knew there was antique white and stuff like that, there's standard color names that you could look up on W3 Schools. And for any reference, I'll mention this now, since you're new to this. If you go to W3 Schools, this is a great resource. You can use it for Python, we can use it for anything, but if you go here to Learn HTML, it's really a great resource. They have little windows where you can try things out and do all kinds of stuff. It'll talk about HTML, it'll talk about your attributes and your headings, just about anything you need to know. And then also there's CSS. So when you go into CSS, you'll see the syntax, and here's where it shows that's the selector, this is the declaration, there's the property, there's the value, there's property, value. You could put multiple property values like we're doing. Now they're putting them all on one line, except when we do them and when most people do them, you're going to put them on lines like that. It's just easier to format them like that. And you see that's formatting a paragraph, and it's making the color red, and it's aligning it center. So we'll do more of CSS as we work, but this is a great place to go. And it's easy to remember, W3 Schools. And not only do they have CSS, HTML, they have JavaScript, SQL. We use it for a lot of different classes because it's really easy to find resources quickly. But if there's anything you're not sure of, or you're like, where's he getting these colors? Even if you go over here to Color Picker, you could go to Color Picker, and I'll just click on this, and go to Color Names. Because you might be thinking, where did he get antique white? Go to Color Names, and here's all the color names. There's antique white right there. If you don't like antique white, you want to use Azure, you could use Azure. They have the hex numbers, they have these, so these are all standard HTML color names that you can use. And you don't have to use the capital letter like they have here. I think that's just to make it look nicer so you recognize it better. But, you know, like dark slate blue, they use the capital letters in there. But you can use any of those names rather than using the hex, or rather than using RGB. You can use RGB as well. And why would you use RGB? Because with RGB, you can actually put an alpha value. They're not showing it here. It's called RGBA, and they're not showing it here, but you could put a value, alpha value. So let me go to this, try it yourself. It's showing blue. I could go here and put another value of 0.5. Let me see if that works. And that's the alpha. That means it's making it 50%. 0.5 is 50%. So you can use RGB with the R, red, green, blue, and then you can use alpha, and you could turn it down if you need to. So that's the alpha value. If you need something transparent, although here, you know, you just make it a lighter blue. Why would you make it transparent? But I just want to show that. So anyway, that's the Try It editor that you can always go in and try things yourself with W3 Schools. All right, back to here, and let's see what this looks like. Had all that suspense. You saw that there, and you were like, wow, I really want to see this. So here it is, and that's a nice border. You don't want it too thick. You don't want it overpowering. I mean, you don't want to go in here and have this big, thick black border on here. It's a little too thick. It's standing out. Now, you could use a pink border. You could put something else. But since there's these nice colors in here, and there's black in here, and we have black here, we're keeping it all unified. Except I'll make sure that I go back and make it 2 pixels because I think that looks nice. And that looks pretty good for our first HTML CSS exercise. Pretty easy. Not a lot going on here, but I just wanted to give you a little intro so you could do a little HTML and a little CSS, and you can see it's pretty easy. You just have to, you know, make sure things are colored properly. Once you start seeing how things are colored properly, if something's missing, you'll know right away. You'll be like, well, why is that all blue and that's light blue and this? Because you're missing a semicolon. So any of this stuff here, and you can see hex numbers are in this kind of yellow color. Regular color names are in the blue color. So you'll get the feel of how the colors are. Same thing here. Attributes are in this light blue, elements are in the darker blue, values are in this orange color, so anything in quotes are in the orange color. So if you forget a quote or something, you know, if you, whatever reason, you mess something up here and you don't have a quote, you might see something like it goes to there and there's a white quote there, and that would be something like, oh, what's going on here? And why is that white? And why is that orange? Because all the quotes should be in orange, and it's because there's one missing here. And you know, that's kind of the stuff that'll pop up. So when you're done, you can just copy this, just like I think we did for Python. We can copy this, and you're going to go back to MyWarren, and you're going to go to your class, and you're going to go to coursework, and just like you did with Python when you were doing turtles and all that stuff, you're going to go down to Unit 12. See, it's Unit 12 already. I told you the semester would go fast. You're going to click on this link and click on this. Now, I didn't even open it up officially yet, so you'll see other stuff there, but click on this link, add a comment, and make sure you insert a link, paste your Replit link there, and something looks wrong. That's not it. Make sure you copy your URL, and then go back and make sure you paste it. Make sure it looks okay. You should see like the Replit thing in there, replit.com. If it says something else, then it's not right. And you don't have to do anything else other than change this to new window. That way it's easy to click on the link and jump to a new window or new tab. And I'll hit save, and it should just look like that. And I'll hit save again, and that's how you're going to turn it in, just like you turned in other assignments where there's a link, like Gravit and your Python turtles as well. So that's a pretty easy start. I'm not sure if I'll record a new video for the next one because it's just about television shows. I think it does say fall 2021 or whatever, so if I may record a new one. Just remember that some of those things like the color stuff are the way they are now. This is the newer video, but I'll try to record a new video for our next exercise. But if not, it's all the same stuff that you're doing here. Nothing as far as HTML and CSS is changing. So when you're done here, you can close up your W3 Schools. You can close up this window. Remember, if it closes and you don't know where it went, you could always open it again. You could always go over here, open this up, and go to this little icon here that says open a new tab. That opens your window in a new tab, and that's the one you keep refreshing. So if you ever have to stop and then you're going to go back and work on it again, you can do that. But then you could close this up. And you could work in here. I think that's what the run is for, because when you run it, you're not refreshing in here. You're showing that, even though they do have looks like they do have a refresh in here. But run it runs your code here, so it's kind of hard to see. So I'd rather have more room for coding and just view it on a regular page. So again, if you need to view it on a page, you use this thing, that little thing to open a new tab. But that's it. Everything, you don't have to save. It's all auto-save, so you're just going to have your index, your style. Any problem, if you have a problem, just make sure you copy this. If you email me and you say, oh, I have an error, just copy this, because then when I get it in my email, I could just jump right to it. I don't have to look it up in MyWarren and find where your Replit is. You know, just say, hey, I have a problem. Copy it, I'll look at it, and I'll be like, hey, you have a problem at line 13, you're missing a semicolon, something like that. So that's exercise 15, our little introduction to HTML and CSS.